Ladies and gentlemen, please find your seats as the ceremony will begin in a few moments. At this time, we ask that you please turn off or silence all electronic devices. As a reminder, for today's ceremony, military members are to stand at a position of attention during national anthem, and civilian guests are invited to place their right hand over their heart. Due to recent changes in DoD guidance, it is now mandatory to wear masks while indoors. At this time, please wear a mask if not already doing so. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the 7th Bomb Wing, welcome to today's retirement ceremony honoring Lt Col Marion Leon Foreman, Jr. on his retirement from the United States Air Force following 20 years of honorable service to his country. I am Major Sodikowski, and I will be the narrator for today's ceremony. Officiating today's ceremony is the 88th Surgical Operations Squadron Commander from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio, Colonel Eric Knott. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the presentation of the colors by the Dyess Honor Guard and the playing of the national anthem and the invocation given by Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Gabriel Rios.
Present the colors.
Color. And up. Forward. Arm. Forward. Heart. Colors. Halt. Present. Arms. Court. Arms. Step. Dip.
Happy Friday. Colonel Foreman, thank you. I'm really happy for you. You're a good man. I respectfully invite you to bow your heads while I pray. There's a scripture that says, his eyes are in the way of men. He sees their every step, and he sees you, or Colonel Foreman. Lord, I ask your guidance and blessing upon our lives today, especially for Lieutenant Colonel Marion Foreman and his family. As we prepare to honor him in this retirement ceremony, I ask that you bless him and his family in their transition to the civilian life. Colonel Foreman spent many years of faithful and dedicated service to you and to our great nation. His leadership inspired those who work with him. May he take with him the knowledge that having served with him has enriched all of our lives. Thank you, because you have been with him and his family also during difficult times. May he be strengthened by the happy memories of all these years of service, especially here at Dyess Air Force Base. And now, Lord, I bless him with this prayer. May God give you, for every storm, a rainbow, for every tear, a smile, for every care, a promise, and a blessing in each trial, for every problem life sends, a faithful friend to share, for every sight a sweet song, and an answer for each of your prayers. Amen.
Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Thank you, Dyess Honor Guard and Chaplain Rios. At this time, I would like to introduce the distinguished guests in attendance with us today. Please hold your applause until all guests have been announced. The 47th Operational Medical Readiness Squadron Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Corey Norton. The Senior Enlisted Advisor, Medical Education and Training Campus, Chief Master Sergeant Brent Cook and his family. The 23rd Medical Group Superintendent, Chief Master Sergeant Soni Oladoka. And the 383rd Training Squadron Superintendent, Chief Master Sergeant Alex Bueno. We are especially honored to have Lieutenant Colonel Foreman's family in attendance with us today, his wife Marie, his daughter Shelley, and his granddaughters Emily and Madison. Finally, we would like to welcome all Team Dyess Airmen and civilians and friends who have come to pay tribute to Lieutenant Colonel Foreman's 20 years of faithful and dedicated service. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce today's presiding official, Colonel Eric Knott.
Is the mic hooked up for the recording? Anyway. Okay. Just gonna put it down. I tend to get loud and excited, so Lee knows about loudness and excitement. But, to start off, thank you for the folks that came here, Colonel Norton, Chief Cook, Chaplain Rios. Thank you for the invitation. There we go. I don't know that I'd ever say this, or maybe Lee would say this too, that we'd have imagined saying this in our careers, is Chief Oladokin and Chief Bueno. We'll get to that. We go back quite a ways, and I don't know that most of us thought we'd be here at this particular junction in our careers, so thank you for coming. To Dyess Air Force Base and the protocol team, it's really a beautiful base. To the 9th Bombing Squadron, thank you for letting us use this. Really an amazing room. As far as coming to an operational base, to hear the jet engines roar, to see the B-1s not that far away is an amazing thing. Anyone who's ever been downrange and in bad places knows that when you can hear those jet engines, it's just it's a security blanket. It's a comfort to see and really appreciate. And American Air Power is just absolutely amazing. Also, the protocol team, thank you for the billeting. Quite amazing. The folks at Dyess really laid it all out. I don't know that I feel like I'm a super important person, but you guys made me feel that way.
Yes, you may.
To Marie, Shelley, Emily, and Madison, thank you for letting us borrow your Papo for a long time. He's an amazing person, and I know you guys love him deeply, and I know he loves you deeply. And we're going to let him spend some more time with you. And I know you guys are all both excited about that. So Lee, congratulations. 20 years. 20 years. And I promised I wouldn't bust these chops too many times about being old.
Go right ahead.
He's grown into it. But Lee, it's your day. Congratulations. As we talk about the things that I admire about Lee and the things that I've seen, just look for the hints of strength, perseverance, character, love. Lee sometimes has a rough and tough exterior, but there's no better friend and no better father, no better grandfather, no better husband that I've seen. We'll start with this, and if we were picking teams for a fight, I would definitely want Lee on my team, no matter what the fight. Especially because Lee understands one of the first rules of fighting, and that's there is no rules. So I'm amazed to be a part of this ceremony. Retirement ceremonies are really, it's an amazing step in our career, and I'm going to hit on a few other wonderful steps in Lee's career that I've been able to be a part of, but this is the end of the career. It's not the end of the road, but it's the last time we get to see him in the uniform. It's not the last time that we'll reflect about some of the crazy, weird, and sometimes silly and stupid things that we got to do, which is all part of the fun. But each of us, at some point in time, have only really seen a small part of that 20 years. So it's very interesting as you look back and you look at their bios and you sort of wonder what happened when. And usually at retirements, people kind of go over the bios. I'm going to hit the bio pretty quick and then really just focus on some of the fun things that we got to do. So I'm going to start with where he finished. So Lee finished here. Came as a squadron commander, finished as the IG. As I was looking through the program for today, I go back to thinking about how we used to bust Lee's chops sometimes about being old. And I saw in there something about President Eisenhower. I didn't read it real closely, and I thought, this is awesome. They snuck this in here. And said that Lee's so old he worked for President Eisenhower. I had to read a little closer. It was his mother that worked for Eisenhower, but just an amazing family in history. To say that your mother, someone that you knew closely, worked for one of the greatest generals you've ever had. Pretty amazing. So Lee, if you guys don't know, started in the military a little late in life. He's worn a lot of different hats. He's worn a lot of different hats in the military. He wore quite a few different hats before joining the military. So he spent some time as an enlisted Army medic. He spent some time as a sheriff's deputy. He was a sniper for a while for his sheriff's department, and then went to nursing school. He might be the most dangerous nurse on the planet. And then came to the Air Force when he was in his early 40s, 30s, 39, almost 40. I shorted you. That's right. But as you kind of go through stuff, his first assignments was at San Antonio. He worked in the emergency room. Prior to that, he kind of started going back. This lead to how I met him. He actually worked as a nurse and orthopedic surgeon. He was a nurse practitioner for a while. So he came to the military with just a tremendous amount of medical experience and life experience. And these are the amazing people that we get to meet. And this is part of what makes the journey through the military really amazing. The people that you meet, the experiences you share, the struggles you go through, that's what makes it all amazing, because it makes it worthwhile. And that's what kind of builds those bonds of brotherhood. Did some CCAT, then he came to Hurlburt, got to spend 5 years at Hurlburt, 6, which is kind of a long time for a nursing assignment, so I know he fought a little bit to stay a little bit longer. And around that time was when I met Lee, so I'm going to kind of lead into my first interaction with Lee, crazy enough, was probably almost 15 years ago, 14, 15 years ago. We were both much younger at that point in time. I was kind of just a young, I don't want to say arrogant, but we'll say confident surgeon. I get a call out of the blue. Hey, this is Lt Foreman. I work with you. I never heard him. I never met him. We had a pretty tight unit. I got hurt. My knee's bad. I need you to come take a look at me. I need surgery. What is this guy talking about? But to Lee's credit, he was right. We got to talking, and as young, confident, maybe arrogant surgeons, sometimes we think we know more than we do. And when Lee started talking about all the things he'd done, I thought, my first thought was, I guess I better listen to him. And that's not the first time I said that, and that's not the last time. So through that, I actually got to work with Lee as a patient. And then we got to do a lot of interesting things for Chief Bueno and Chief Oladoke. And when we were at Hurlburt, it's a very different assignment, very different environment than a normal medical group, which I think was what all of us were sort of looking for, which is why we're all a little bit odd, a little bit off, which is why we all get along so well. We're sort of kindred spirits, but it started out Lee, I think within a few months of coming, busted his knee up at survival school. But Lee, being the tough guy that he is, never seen him stop. Did some surgery on his knee, and I guess it's okay. I'm not breaking head rules anyway. An impressive amount of arthritis in that knee at a young age. I'll call you 47 young because I'm only 2 years younger than that now. But so a lot of arthritis in the knee, but amazingly enough, did kind of a simple surgery in my mind, but had a bad knee. Lee never complained. In fact, when we talk about strength, he's one of the strongest people I think in our unit when we talk about just physically strong. The guy can lift just an incredible amount of weight, despite having some bad arthritis and other things. And anytime we had any difficult duties, we never hesitated. And that's something we like to see from officers. Doctors sometimes shame ourselves when we think we're too good to do stuff, but we have to follow the lead. And Lee was one of those guys that was always out ahead. When I first met, during that first meeting, the military world is a little weird where, unfortunately, sometimes we communicate too much via email. And I couldn't figure out how to get him a message back because he said his name was Lee. And I kept looking through the address book, and I couldn't find a Lee, I couldn't find a Lee, I couldn't find a Lee. And then finally he told me, my name's Marion. You gotta look under Marion. And it kind of shocked me a little bit. I'm like, how do I remember that? And it didn't take long. It's actually, I hope Lee kind of likes this, but sometimes you play some association games, and there's another famous Marion I think a lot of folks hopefully know that Lee kind of reminds me of a little bit, and that's Marion Morrison, also known as John Wayne. And if you've ever seen Lee, even before his knee surgery, he kind of has that cowboy walk. He grew up as a cowboy, pretty tough, has that kind of good cowboy strut, and he kind of looks like a walking, talking John Wayne, so it was easy to make that association. And, I hope you see that as a compliment. It was through that time we were deploying, doing a lot of different things, and we were prepping for a big trip to Afghanistan, and Lee took a huge load off of my back. It was one of the first times we had to do a lot of our own prep work, and he took the reins and really did the bulk of it, and spent a lot of time in the office struggling with some things and developing some things, and making sure that our trip there was successful. We were interrupted about a month prior with our trip to Haiti. So we all had an impromptu trip to Haiti in 2010 after the earthquake. One of the very exciting things and fun things about Hurlburt Field was sometimes you get a call and they say, get your bags, you gotta go. And that was one of those times. And so a couple of great stories from Haiti. Lee, we kind of just made things up as we were going. And a lot of people think when we go into some of these crazy operations that it's all planned out. we were definitely flying by the seat of our pants. So we're sitting here at the flight line, and you know, the country's a total mess, and they say, hey, guys, go to the embassy. Okay, get your bags and go to the embassy. So we get our bags, and we're kind of looking like, where is it? Where's the embassy? And they tell us, well, just get on that helicopter over there. Keep in mind, Haiti's not the most stable country in the world. We didn't have weapons, or if they did, we didn't have any bullets for them. And so we hop on the helicopter, and those guys say, where are you guys going? We're going to the embassy. Okay. As we get closer, you know, they usually call out, you know, 1 minute to landing, 2 minutes to landing, all that. And we're landing, and we lean up and we're like, which one is it? And it was kind of one of these numbers. So kind of look at Lee, and we kind of all look at each other, and we're like, oh, okay, we'll figure it out. So we get off the helicopter. They drop us in the middle of a giant field, and they say, go to the building with the wall. Well, pretty much every building there has a wall. So here we are in the middle of Haiti, dragging these gigantic boxes, and Lee posts up, and that kind of has his gun on his weapon, at least somewhat pulling security for us, trying to put a little fear in some folks. And it was kind of funny because the Haitians didn't really seem fazed. Here we are all kitted up, and we're dragging these gigantic things, and they just kind of strolling by, looking at us. But we actually did find the embassy. It took a little bit. We found the right wall. But that's really not the end of it. So one of the things that Lee got to do was transport some really sick patients. And he got to do that with Sonny. Those two were the first ones actually to do a casevac in Afghanistan with local national folks in a local national airplane, which could be a little interesting and sporty. But in and amongst everything, we evacuated a ton of patients, and Lee and some other folks got to go back to the United States as they were flying some patients back. And that was kind of an interesting time. They landed at base and said, hey, we need to get back. And the response they got from the base, which is,
Find your own way.
yeah, well, is there some kind of an emergency?
Yeah.
Are you guys mission essential? And I'm like, well, might be one of the biggest mass casualties in the Western Hemisphere in the last couple of years. So then he, in typical fashion, though, Lee didn't give up. He took one of our other docs under his wing, and they drove all over most of southern Florida, trying to figure out a way to get back to Haiti. And by golly, they did it. You know, from that, we sort of strolled right into Africa. It was maybe less than a month later that we had to kind of turn right around and go to Africa. And that was another good time as we were sort of in uncharted waters, creating our own destiny. And Lee was right there next to me. And if you've ever tried to wrangle 3 or 4 doctors and surgeons in a foreign environment, it is not fun. It is not fun. But Lee and I made it. We had to issue some discipline, help some people along. We had a few lost puppies that needed a little help. But we actually promoted Lee in the middle of the desert, which was pretty awesome. And I think he probably would have it no other way. We're in a tent in Africa, and got to do his promotion from captain to major. Following that, we ended up on different teams. But then you talk about adversity and perseverance. So Lee kind of had a tough draw with his team. He had some interesting dynamic, and we would follow on each other. So you would see each other for brief periods of time and high five and hug and hang out for a couple of days and move on. And Lee's first mission, we had something that was established, and like things happen, everything sort of falls apart, and you have to figure things back out. And about halfway through, there was a real live mutiny. Now I know, Tip, what it says in the textbooks, what should happen at the end of the mutiny, which I'm sure Lee would have liked to participate in. But it didn't happen. Lee made it back home though, and you know, to our squadron credit and our leadership credit, they credited him with successfully accomplishing the mission and dealt with the mutineers accordingly. Again, probably not quite the way Lee wanted to, but you know, and it was at that time he and Sonny did some casevacs and with host nation people, and again, Had to figure out how to get, Haiti's bad enough, but when you're kind of out on your own in Afghanistan trying to figure out how to get someplace, it's even dicier. It takes a lot of patience, perseverance, and strength. And Lee, I just want to thank you for being a part of our lives for a few years and letting us be a part of yours. Maureen, Shelley, it's a beautiful family. And, throughout all the challenges, Lee always smiles, and he smiles huge when he starts talking about his girls and how much he loves his girls. And that's his love. And Lee's been able to share his love with his country, his love with his friends for the last several years, and now he gets to really devote a lot of his love towards you guys. Thank you for letting us have him for a while. Thank you for pushing us all along. I skipped one thing, and I apologize. I thought I was working well for my notes. When we talk about perseverance, the other thing we got to do was escape from California. So part of his career, he did get to go to California, a little oil and water. But he persevered, he escaped. He's here in Texas. He's setting up roots in Texas. He's got a wonderful place out in East Texas, and he's going to kind of devote the next several years to doing some of the other things he loves. But Lee, I can tell you thank you for teaching us, for training us, for helping us learn all the hours you spent, helping doctors, helping the patients. Congratulations on an amazing career. Let's get you retired at home. Thank you. Publish your order.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America, authorized by executive order, has awarded the Meritorious Service Medal, 4th Oak Leaf Cluster, has been awarded to Lieutenant Colonel Marion L. Foreman, Jr. for meritorious service 20 July 2020 to 30 July 2021. Lieutenant Colonel Marion L. Foreman, Jr. distinguished himself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States while assigned to the 7th Bomb Wing, Dyess Air Force Base, Texas. During this period, Colonel Foreman led the 7th Bomb Wing Commander's Inspection Program, as well as the 7th Bomb Wing Complaints Resolution and Fraud, Waste, and Abuse Program, assuring continuity of operations and the full spectrum mission readiness of 5,000 personnel and $13 billion in wing assets. Additionally, his leadership was instrumental in steering the Inspector General team in the completion of 10 bylaws, 3 vertical and 3 horizontal inspections, directly culminating in the resolution of 333 deficiencies. Furthermore, Colonel Foreman led 25 wing inspection team members in the first Bomber Task Force deployment evaluation, identifying 23 base processes shortfalls, thereby driving assurance in B-1 mission preparedness for combat commanders. Subsequently, he guided a multifaceted initiative for a joint air-to-surface standoff missile load exercise focused on a first-ever live munitions evaluation, ensuring 7th Bomb Wing Commander's readiness vision. Finally, he reimagined the Inspector General's walkabout strategy, providing visibility and a voice outlet for the airmen of Dyess Air Force Base, ultimately improving the morale, efficiency, and effectiveness of the 7th Bomb Wing. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Colonel Foreman culminate a distinguished career in service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the presentation of the official retirement order.
Publish the order.
Attention to orders. By by order of the Secretary of the United States Air Force Special Order Number AC-003635, Lieutenant Colonel Marion L. Foreman, Jr., effective 31 January 2022, you are relieved from active duty, 7th Bomb Wing, Inspector General's Office, 7th Bomb Wing, Dyess Air Force Base, Texas. Retired effective 1 February 2022 in the grade of Lieutenant Colonel. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. At this time, Colonel Knott will present a certificate of retirement from the Air Force of the United States of America. This is to certify that Lieutenant Colonel Marion Leon Foreman, Jr., having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the first day of February 2022. Signed, General Charles Q. Brown, Chief of Staff of the Air Force, and Colonel Joseph K. Kramer, Commander, 7th Bomb Wing. Lieutenant Colonel Foreman, we are pleased to present you with the following certificate of appreciation from our Commander-in-Chief, which reads,
That should have been read. Sorry. A lot of certificates. That's right.
Lieutenant Colonel Marion L. Foreman, Jr., I extend to you my personal thanks and the sincere appreciation of a grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history, with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice, in keeping with the proud traditions of military service. Your commitment and dedication have been an inspiration for those who will follow in your footsteps, and for all Americans who join me today in saluting you for a job extremely well done. My best wishes to you for happiness and success in the future. Joseph R. Biden, Jr., Commander-in-Chief. Lieutenant Colonel Foreman will now be presented with a certificate of appreciation from the 45th President of the United States, President Trump. It reads, I extend to you my personal thanks and the sincere appreciation of our grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to your country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history, with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice, in keeping with the proud traditions of military service. I trust that in the coming years you will maintain an active interest in the Air Force and the purpose for which you served. Those who follow in your footsteps will draw inspiration from your commitment, dedication, and sacrifice made to ensure the protection of our American freedoms. My best wishes to you for happiness and success in the future. Signed, Donald J. Trump, Jr., 45th Commander-in-Chief. Lieutenant Colonel Foreman will now be presented with a letter of appreciation from the Air Force Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Joanne S. Bass. It reads, I am proud to join your friends and family in congratulating you on your retirement from the United States Air Force. Lieutenant Colonel Marion Leon Foreman, Jr., the achievements and contributions will be sorely missed. On behalf of all airmen, thank you for your faithful and devoted service to our nation. As this chapter in your life closes and a new one begins, I hope the years ahead are filled with more great memories and continued success. Lieutenant Colonel Foreman will now be presented with a letter of appreciation from the Air Force Nurse Corps Chief, Brigadier General Janine Ryder. It reads, Dear Lieutenant Colonel Foreman, on behalf of the men and women of the Air Force Medical Service and the total nursing force, I would like to extend a heartfelt congratulations on the occasion of your retirement. It is with great admiration that we honor this significant event. From our initial assignment as an emergency room nurse at the 59th Medical Wing, Lackland Air Force Base, Texas, to your final assignment as Deputy Inspector General, 7th Bomb Wing, Dyess Air Force Base, Texas. You have been instrumental as a clinical mentor and leader. Your tireless dedication and countless contributions greatly influenced the delivery of quality healthcare, both in garrison and in deployment settings. Throughout your service, you have been an exemplary Nurse Corps officer whose passion has been to provide exceptional care and compassion to our heroes past, present, and future. Lee, as you retire, know that your flight path in the Air Force has been a 20-year career that positively impacted the mission and lives of thousands of men and women who have had the honor of serving with you. Thank you for your sacrifices and contributions you and your family made while serving our great nation. Best wishes and Godspeed as you close this chapter and begin the next chapter along life's journey. Sincerely, Janine M. Ryder, Brigadier General, United States Air Force Nurse Corps. Now can we have Mrs. Foreman please come up to the stage? Lieutenant Colonel Foreman has a certificate of appreciation for his wife, and it reads, "In grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents this certificate of recognition to Marie R. Foreman for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to this nation's defense. Thank you for the support which you gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service. Given this first day of February 2022, signed Colonel Joseph K. Kramer, Commander, 7th Bomb Wing." Don't, Mrs. Foreman, don't leave yet. The second certificate of appreciation is from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. It reads, "On behalf of all Air Force airmen and their families, the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force presents this certificate to Marie R. Foreman. I join your spouse, family, and friends in thanking you for the numerous contributions and sacrifices you made in support of our United States Air Force. Your dedication gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service in defense of our nation." We still need you. Every retiree receives a special retirement pin as a memento of their active duty service. At this time, Mrs. Foreman, would you please place this pin on Lieutenant Colonel Foreman's left lapel to symbolize his transition from active duty to retired status?
Get him hard.
At this time, we ask Lieutenant Colonel Norton to join Mrs. Foreman on stage to present Colonel Foreman's shadow box.
Gotta keep him in.
Shadow boxes are born of an ancient naval tradition that is still practiced today, both in the militaries of the world and throughout civilian life. The shadow box is laden with items that represent the recipient's service, accomplishments, and achievements. Lieutenant Colonel Foreman, please accept this shadow box as it shows respect for the countless symbols of merit you have earned over the course of your 20 years of honorable military service to the United States of America. Thank you, Mrs. Foreman and Lieutenant Colonel Norton. We'd now like to ask Major Ryan Combs from the 7th Bomb Wing Inspector General's Office to come forward and present a gift.
All right, so you might all be wondering why the IG is sitting in the back. It's because a few weeks ago, Colonel Foreman said to me that in anticipation of the excitement of finishing today, he was going to take his rank off and throw it at us. So we're sheltering in place in the back right now. Sir, thank you for all the leadership that you've given us, me personally, for helping me through the transition here, coming from the bomb wing, learning the job, and filling in until Poison gets in the seat, and for your leadership, filling in for him as well, and taking over for Grizz. We greatly appreciate that, and we wouldn't be as well off as we are without you and your leadership. And as Colonel Knott said, if there was one person in this room that we would want in the IG fighting for us, it would be Colonel Foreman. With all the squadron commanders he beat over the head for us to get them in compliance. So again, we greatly appreciate that. So we got you a couple things here. First thing here is a U.S. surgical instrument kit, minor surgery. So in case you're in your field and you trip and bust your knee, you can perform surgery on yourself. So there's that. Second thing we got for you, since you are old-fashioned, we got you an old-fashioned knife. Yes, and then here we got a little display case, or rack rather, for your knife. With the IG badge here at the bottom, it reads Lieutenant Colonel Marion Lee Foreman Jr., 16 July 2020 to 30 July 2021. Thank you for your strong leadership and selfless service to the 7th Bomb Wing, Inspector General, and Dyess Air Force Base. Your pinpoint and sometimes blunt force management skills have greatly enriched our team. You have established a legacy of dedication to us to continue a lasting positive impact across the wing. Best wishes to you and your family. Sir.
Now, Chief Cook, if you'll come forward, please, and present the United States flag flown over the United States Capitol on 21 June 2021. Thank you, Chief Cook. Ladies and gentlemen, the Team Dyess Honor Guard will now perform a flag folding ceremony in honor of Lieutenant Colonel Foreman. For more than 200 years, the American flag has been the symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. Born on June 14, 1777, the Second Continental Congress determined that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and that the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field representing a new constellation. Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent the 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizing hardiness and valor. White signifies purity and innocence, and blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally, a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans both at home and abroad. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at seeing the stars and stripes waving after the British shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, and our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. In July 1969, the American flag was flown in space when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of the moon. Today, our flag flies on constellations of Air Force satellites that circle our globe, and on the thin flash of our aircraft in harm's way in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the hearts of every airman who serve our great nation. The sun never sets on our U.S. Air Force, nor on the flag we so proudly cherish. Since 1776, no generation of Americans has been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us for generations to come. By displaying the flag and giving it a distinctive fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for freedom, at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict on land and skies around the world. It is their responsibility, our responsibility, to continue to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and freedoms that we as Americans enjoy today. The United States flag represents who we are. It stands for the freedom we all share and the pride and patriotism we feel for our country. We cherish its legacy as a beacon of hope, and one and all, long may it wave. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Lieutenant Colonel Marion Leon Foreman, Jr., retired.
being here. Thank you, Honor Guard, for that. Don't know if folks know that flag. The last time it was open and folded was on my mother's casket. That means a lot. Okay. Thank you, Captain Rios, for that beautiful invocation, man. Look, you have been a true friend in every sense of the word, and I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you all for being here. Wow, 20 years, right? How do I begin to put down 20 years on a piece of paper and get up here and talk about it? It's hard. I can't believe the day's finally come for me to hang the uniform up. A wise man once told me, one day you will have to hang the uniform up. I didn't believe him then. I kind of believe him now. Careers have been rewarding, and I've learned so much from my colleagues, brothers, friends, and family. And in growing as an officer, I've learned so much as a person. I thank everyone for being here today to share in my retirement ceremony. It means so much to know just how much you care. And I'm blessed to have each and every one of you here. Wow, talk about opportunities. So many opportunities. From before the Army, after the Army, to the Air Force. So many things, so many hats. From chief nurse to commander, CCAT, special ops, to AE. Been one heck of a ride, guys. One heck of a ride. I am and will be always grateful for the leadership and guidance that everyone has shown me throughout the way. That's it. I mean, I kind of wanted to leave with trying to give some sort of words of wisdom. I think for every door for me that has ultimately opened along the way one is closed. That said, most of the closed doors got the bottom of my boot. If anything that I could pass on to you guys, tenacity, never giving up, never calling it quits. There's always a way. There's so many no's out there. For every no, there's a yes. And if there's not a no, if there's not a yes to follow, by God, find a way. Case in point, when I first tried to get back in the Air Force, I don't know how many know, but I got out of the Army on a medical retirement. Received a pension. 9/11 happened. Things happened. Said enough is enough. I feel good. Why can't I serve? I want to go back in. I don't really belong as a civilian. I don't know how to function as a civilian. I'm going to have to learn real hard. But I need to come back in. First thing I heard, no, you can't. You retired from the Army. No, you can't. Yeah. That's a hateful word. No. So, make a long story short, yeah, I kind of proved them wrong. and with special operations and doing special operations, at some point I said, you know what, I'd like to try my hand at AE. Yeah, no, you're not gonna be able to do that. Air Force needs you in other places. How many people have heard that? Air Force needs you somewhere else. Not where I wanted to be. That's somewhere else. I wanted to be with AE. Proven wrong. So many times. So many no's. Kick no's in the butt. Kick them off to the side. They don't belong in your life. Negativity does not belong there. Find a way. So if there's anything I can tell you guys, there was not an answer. Especially when it comes from somebody that doesn't know as much as you do. So find a way. Find a way. Such a great road. Not because of the titles, not because of the jobs, not because of the accolades and awards. It's not about that. It's not about ribbons. It's not about medals. Not about any of that. It's not about handshakes. How many of you go through life and go, you know, I wish somebody would just thank me for what I did? It means nothing. Thanking comes from here. Thanking comes from you telling yourself, man, I did a good job. You know what? I don't care what anybody else says. But aside from all that, aside from all the titles and aside from everything else, the one thing that I will always cherish are the people I've had the opportunity, the honor, the privilege of serving with. Some of the greatest group of men and women ever. Some of them, you guys are right here. Some are watching or will be watching at home at their leisure. But brothers all. Eric, what do I say? Man, we got stories. And I'm glad you didn't say them all. I am so glad you didn't say them all. By the way, me showing the force, even though the gun was unloaded in Haiti, I backed him down. But so many things for you and I. And you will and always will be one of my best friends. And I thank you so much for being here. Again, for saying some things, but not all. But thank you. Thank you. You did come a long way, and I appreciate it. Oh, who's next? Oh, I'm going to pick on no Sonny. My brother from another mother, Sonny. Dude, we have been through a lot, you and I. Sonny was my respiratory tech in special operations. Him and I go way back. Remember getting on that Afghan plane? Not speaking Afghan? With an Afghan pilot, Afghan crew? You and I were the only Americans on that flight. First ever U.S. Afghan flight evac together. And we did it. And I kept you from being kidnapped to downtown Kabul, didn't I? Luckily, I gave the guy instructions on how to bag somebody, because you would have gotten on that ambulance in downtown Kabul. And you're welcome. And I promise, man, look, you can come, you can visit me anytime, the door's always open, you are another brother for me. I promise you this, I will not hide a remote to the air conditioner. So the entire deployment, Sonny and another friend of mine were in the same area, sleeping, barrack, whatever you want to call it. And we hid the remote for the air tune. Sonny likes to sleep when it's hot. I don't. Neither did the other guy. So we hid the remote to the air conditioner. 6 months. You went freezing under covers. And what did we do on the last day? We put the remote on your phone. Our gift to you. So, thank you. Alex. I don't know, that was Radar O'Reilly in the Air Force. Alex would be it. Right? Hey Alex, where did you get that medal from? Oh, I put it in. I know that guy. Oh, wait, Alex, where did you get that from? Where did you get that cool piece of equipment from? Oh, I know that guy. Dude. You've been a large part of my family, and will always be. You and I hit it off right away, and we didn't go a whole lot of places together, but man, you were right there by my side the whole time, and through thick and thin, you were always somebody I could call and talk to, and we'll always appreciate you, always. My brothers. But I'm not done yet. What do I say about these next folks? Brett and Crystal. And look, I will never bet with you again. I will never bet. So we had a bet at Edwards that I was coming to Dyess. He was staying in California. He told me, no, I'm going to go to Dyess with you. I said, no, you're not. Want to bet? I shouldn't have. Because I bet him that if he did, I would get in front of wherever and say, woo pig. I'm still practicing. First commander's call. He calls in the bet. I didn't see these people. I don't know them yet. And here we are. First impressions. Woo pig, bud. And look, we've got so many shared memories at Edwards and beyond here. Man, you were beyond my right-hand man. You guys will all be family. Move to Texas. Don't move to Arkansas. Just saying.
We're putting our trailer right on the property.
Okay. I'll hold you to that.
You have to
I won't say woo pig, but you know,
we'll just play.
hook 'em home.
We'll play the fight song every morning for you.
Corey, yes. My AE brothers, my AE family. You ever want to get in a room with somebody who can make you laugh automatically? And whatever comes out of this guy's mouth will just crack you up. Yeah, we went through some good times at Hobart. I mean, at Hope. At Hope. Some bad times. Remember, but always could count on you guys. And she likes to babysit and watch kids, so there you go.
There's some hot
But
times.
you guys were neighbors, you guys were friends. I mean, look, man, that's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for being here. It would not have been complete. Appreciate it, man. I know I'm missing a lot of folks that have contributed along the way. So many people. Major Shrine. Where are you? Back there, sir. There you are. Thank you. What did you say? What did you tell me when I first asked you to do this? You don't remember? Are you sure you want me to do this? Yes, I am sure, and I'm sure of more than that. I'm sure that, hey, you would. I know you're getting out, but if there's anybody in here that I would recommend it for a chief nurse position or more, or anything you wanted to do, you know how to do it. I do see somebody else in the audience I want to talk about. Sitting right in front of Major Shrine. No, not Mr. Frakes. I'm not talking about Mr. Frakes, but you. Man, look, Sergeant Jenkins, my right-hand man, my buddy, retired, not a sergeant anymore, Mr. Jenkins. I would have never survived if it wouldn't have been for you. Get another radar right there. It just asked Sergeant Jenkins. That was the thing. Just asked Sergeant Jenkins. You're my right hand man. I appreciate it. Major Sherkowski, Tech Sergeant Whitehead, Staff Sergeant Roscoe. Thank you. Thank you for putting this on and doing so much to make this happen today, make this a complete day. Last but not least, wow, okay. You know what? Last but not least, my beautiful wife. I love you so much. It's been a great. Yeah, it's been a great number of years. You stood behind me and beside me every step of the way.
And it all had to do with books.
Everything. You were my confidant. You were my life coach. You kept me in mind because you know that sometimes I have no filter. But yes, you mean the world to me. And I thank you so much for being there. And my beautiful daughter, who is probably the most like me in the whole world. At least I know when to rein it back. Thank you so much. And thank you for those beautiful little girls. Emily and Matt. Yes. Yes. You got me wrapped around your little fingers. I love you both. I love all of y'all. Thank you so much. If I left anybody out, there's so many people I could stand up here and speak about, talk about. This is kind of one of the lifetime things you get to do, and yeah. So I'm not gonna keep rambling. I appreciate everybody. Thank you, IG family. You guys took me under your wings. Vern, I don't know how you do it. I've told you that. Thank all of y'all. I appreciate it. everything. And, yeah. Thank you all. All I got to say about that.
Of all people have voted,
Hey.
yeah. No, just the opposite.
This is, yeah, come up here. Come up here. You can get out of this. What are you doing?
It's a surprise.
Huh?
It's a surprise.
This is a surprise?
Yes.
All right, let's see. Oh, oh yeah. Man after my own heart.
Sorry, a lot of us are gonna leave, so I thought this would be something good for them, so.
It's medicinal.
Try to get that up. So a little, just a little something for me.
There, am
Some sort of. Well, I have to do the right hand, so, you know, that's mandatory, so you gotta do the right hand.
It is ammo.
There you go, brother. So I thought you'd make.
That is awesome.
Cool. There you go, man. Mandatory.
Bullets.
Fix all.
Won't get away from them.
Board it, your glasses, you don't have to fix it. Thanks. Courage is a vitamin best swallowed with whiskey.
Right now, all the people just want to talk.
Let's do this. Let's do this.
And I think it's one more, hopefully, this is for the boys. This is supposed to be like a gag, so I hope you like it.
Who picked it out? Jordan? Oh, Melissa.
You can read it, I'll let you read it.
Y'all need to come look. Anyway.
Lieutenant Colonel Foreman, the men and women of the United States Air Force are proud to have served with you, and we assure you that you will always be a valuable member of the United States Air Force family, even in retirement. We wish you and your family every success in your future endeavors. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing and singing of the Air Force song and remain standing for the departure of the official party.
Down we dive, fire flame from